from James chapter 2, 14 to 24, and this is going to be NIV, so that's a little different summary about that. Faith and deeds. What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, "Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed," but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. But someone will say, "You have faith, I have deeds." Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by what I do. You believe that there is no God. Good. Even the demons believe that and shudder. You foolish man, do you want evidence that faith without deeds is useless? Just not our ancestors, just not our Abraham, considered righteousness for what he did when he offered his son, Isaac, on the altar. You see that his faith and his actions were working together, and his faith was made complete by what he did. And the scripture was fulfilled that says, Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness, and he was called God's friend. You see that a person is justified by what he does, and not by faith alone. Amen. Amen.
This is the second Sunday of August, and as I had told you earlier, that I, this month, am not using the lectionary. I'm using my favorite readings, both from the Old Testament and the New Testament. And this is one of my favorite readings. And I know when we did this in Bible study, some of you had never heard it before. And they didn't have it in church when they were younger. Oh, I think this is a wonderful, wonderful scripture. The other thing, when I started working on my doctorate, I was thinking, what are the greatest needs here of the church? And I saw the changing faces of Arcadia. And I felt that if we continued to be just a Euro-American church, we would definitely die. Because there are people from all over the world living here. And we need to be invitational and very conscious about that in terms of welcoming God's people. And so what I did is I wanted to learn more and more about other cultures. And one of the things that I learned as I was doing my study is that Northern European culture in particular is what is called an either-or culture, which means you're either with me or you're against me. And your ideas are either good or they're bad. Never thinking that they might be a little bit of both. And you find that particularly people that have studied Greek philosophy, and it has actually gone all through our thinking. And in Asian cultures and Middle Eastern cultures, they are what are called both and. You're with me and against me in some respects at the same time. Your ideas are both good and not so good at the same time. And what the author of James is trying to tell us is that we cannot be just justified by our faith alone. It's not an either-or kind of thing. That the two of them go hand in hand. And the idea is, if you want to see my faith, watch what I do. Because just walking up to somebody and saying, oh, I can tell you're hungry. Oh, your clothes are really rags. Well, I hope everything goes well with you and bless you. You know, I send my blessings. And then not do anything. What good is that? And especially this last week, when we were at the racetrack for the Foothill Unity Center at the back-to-school event, I was thinking, isn't this really faith in action? Look at what a difference that we've made in the lives of young people here in the San Gabriel Valley. Some of them now going on to college and getting out of this vicious cycle of poverty. The other thing, too, is that whoever wrote James was actually arguing with the Apostle Paul. And in all fairness to Paul and his justification by faith, I don't think it was that simple, really. Because Paul didn't say, have faith and then just go off and do whatever you want. He never said that. He often would talk to his readers and say, look, you need to be kinder to each other. You need to love each other. You need to be in unity with each other. So he didn't just say, oh, have faith and then just go off and be a little stinker the rest of your life. He never said that. But that's the way some people read him. And so when the author of James came along, I guess he interpreted it that way, he said, you know, you can't have faith without action at the same time. The two go together. They're really important. And sometimes, I think what Paul was saying is that you don't do good deeds because you're going to get brownie points. It's like, if I do 100 good deeds every year, then I'll get to heaven. But if I only do 99, I won't quite make it. And I think that's what Paul was really talking about. People using actions as not because they want to do them, but because it's going to get them something. Like, you know, ticket to heaven. It reminds me of something I read about recently, and this is a true story. There was an elderly woman. She had her walker with her. She was standing on a corner, and there was a signal there. And a Boy Scout came by and said, oh, I'll help you cross the street. And she's like, she couldn't speak because she had just had a stroke that affected her speech center, her brain. And so she's trying to, you know, like, no, I don't want to cross the street. Well, he was insistent, so he kind of pushes her across the street with her little walker. And she's like, and then he goes off on his merry way. Well, she was waiting for her Lyft driver, who was there, was going to meet her at the corner. And so, fortunately, it was someone who had actually helped her before because she had a doctor's appointment. So the Lyft driver had to go all the way around and all the way back to pick her up. So sometimes you might get a merit badge for doing good deeds, but find out if the person really wants the good deed. And I thought that was really funny. Because like, no, but she couldn't speak. So she's like, you know, trying to, you know, don't take me around. Whether you like it or not. I love this particular letter. And there's a lot more than just the faith and the deeds. How many of you know that in James he talks about the most powerful and dangerous muscle of the body? Remember that? What is it? The tongue. Absolutely. The tongue can get you in more trouble than any other organ of the body. It really can. Oh yeah, it can. It can get you in a lot of trouble. You open your mouth and you say things you shouldn't say. Wow. Yeah. And the reason this particular letter got into the Bible, because some folks didn't like it because it seems like he's in argument with Paul, is because they thought it was written by James, the brother of Jesus. But the thing is, whoever he was definitely Middle Eastern, probably Jewish, because again, they don't have this either-or mentality. Everything goes hand in hand. Everything you do, everything you say, every action you take, they're all together. And it's just not one way or another. Often a combination of both. And let's think about it. Let's think about when we see someone who's really hungry. You can always share half a sandwich, right? You can tell they're hungry. And a lot of things that involve helping people don't cost one dime. What about picking up the phone and telling somebody you really care about them and you miss them and you just want to make sure that they're doing all right? How expensive is that? It isn't. Or letting someone know how much you appreciate them and welcoming them. When we welcome somebody into our church, that's part of faith and action going together. Jesus taught us to be welcoming. So I'll say, hi, welcome everybody, but then don't really welcome them. That's just talk. It's not action. So I learned a lot when I was doing my research about the both and cultures. And I'm really taking it to heart because I think it's really true that everything is entwined with everything else and you really can't separate them. And so when we go about our daily lives and we are people of faith, see how your actions can express the deep faith that you already have. Because we all have an opportunity to truly make a difference. Amen. Amen.